Here we go. All right, this is Clint from the Doorway too. Hanging out with Alvino from A Feather and Bone. Kind of a cool night for me. Like I'm a big fan, so I appreciate it very, very much. Um, Thanks for doing it at such a odd hour on a Sunday evening. So I appreciate it. I think we're actually in the same time for once actually now because Denver and Phoenix are the same time now. So
yeah. I forgot.
yeah.
If you're in Arizona, there's no daylight savings.
Right. Yeah. So we're the same now. But so I kind of want to talk a little bit about the Denver scene a little bit first, to kind of introduce the fans and everybody we're talking to. You know, the hundreds of people that may actually watch this. So
Hey, all right.
all right. Anyway, so Denver seems to be kind of a thriving extreme metal scene in the last couple of years. It kind of burst out of nowhere, in my opinion, like with bands like Primitive Man and Blood Incantation, Havoc, stuff like that, like where you guys are also in that mix. Has it been something that's been coming along for a while, or was it just everybody kind of just hit the same cylinders at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's been a long time coming for sure. Especially with like Primitive Man in particular, like Ethan, who is their singer. He's been part. I mean, we could probably credit most of Denver for what it is now because of what Ethan's done in the past, just for having venues like a lot of DIY venues, like where he lived at them too, where it's like his wife would be there too, and like that's their home, but they'd also open it up to have shows. And
Nice.
he's done that for so long, for so many years. And now I mean, now he doesn't do it anymore because there's enough venues that
Yeah.
he doesn't have to do that anymore. But with that being said, though, I think with Ethan setting a lot of wheels in motion for a scene that could thrive on its own without having to turn to major
Sure.
outlets, to have to turn to major promoters, found a way to have like bring bands through here touring and have good shows at like spots that weren't going to gouge ticket prices or make bands pay to play or anything like that. It just kind of really had a really cool, like Denver's just kind of always had a real like punk aesthetic
Yeah.
to it in the way we kind of did things. Because like we're in the middle of nowhere. We're not like the East Coast where you can drive an hour, you're in a complete other city. Here it's like to get out of here, it takes like 8-9 hours just to get to
Yeah.
the next city. So we have to be very self-sufficient. So with like I said, with Ethan and that, I think he's really set the wheels in motion. And I think after that, the boom of people just wanting to move to Denver for maybe a change, maybe not such a big city vibe, but still have a city. And
Yeah.
let's be real, probably legalization of weed probably helped a lot of people move here. But with that said, I think having a lot of people move here kind of brought in a lot of different talents that kind of were able to mesh together here, meet in this melting pot of a city, and boom, you get the catalyst that starts, a bunch of new bands, a bunch of different projects. People meet each other that way, and I think that's what's just kind of happened through the years, and like a lot of development had to happen, where I think from the outside perspective, people go, "Where did this band come from?" They just popped up out of nowhere, and you realize, oh no, they've been pretty active in the underground, kind of just like playing shows, getting used to what they were doing, kind of building what they were going to do, and then finally record a full length. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think that's what happens for a lot of things. Where, geez, I'm trying to remember. I think the first time I even saw Blood Incantation, it was just the three of them. They were just a three-piece, even. So it's like, yeah, they were still getting used to that, doing that, and it's like, oh yeah, I saw Blood Incantation. It was a three-piece. No one really knew of them yet, and now look at them now.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Primitive Man, seeing them the first few times with their first drummer. You go, oh yeah, that's Bennett who was in the band, and now you have Joe who plays drums. But it's just like, yeah, you see this ever-growing process. I think for people's outside perspective, they think it was like a quick bang, the big bang essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's just been a slow burn, a slow grow, where no one ever paid attention to Denver because they've always assumed, it's a cow town that produces bluegrass and country music, and not really a hub for anything that's going to be more extreme. And like, like you said, even Havoc, man, I remember seeing Havoc when David was like just a kid, like 15 years old. His mom
Yeah.
was doing his merch for him. So, like I said, no one really paid attention before, but it's been great now to see so much attention focus in on our city and all the different bands and everyone's hard work. It's finally paying off, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're all different styles, but yet it kind of feels like a brotherhood. Like I kind of can like I watch all of you kind of praise each other and like rah 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 each other, like, hey, go check out this band, go check out, because Primitive Man came right before the pandemic happened here in Phoenix, and it was like the third time I've seen them, and it was the first time actually there was a huge crowd, and it was a really nice thing to see, like people actually coming to see Primitive Man, like not just like
Yeah.
them as an opener, like, and it was just really cool because that whole kind of vibe happened, and that's very cool. Next thing I kind of want to talk about is, so I started listening to you on Bestial Hymns. Like that's where I caught on to you guys. Um, I went back and listened to the first record after that because you piqued my interest. So, um, and I kind of want to talk about, so the last two records. Well, the one that just came out, Sulfuric Disintegration, that just came out recently. Um, they both still have kind of a hardcore element to them, where I think your first record was a lot more metallic hardcore with death metal influences, where now you're going more for that brutal old school death metal vibe mixed with hardcore elements. Has that always been a natural progression to move to that direction, or was it just band member trying something new? Give me kind of an understanding of how it got to where it is.
Definitely. I mean, when we first met each other, it's just like any other band. You're young, you're kind of getting used to each other. You kind of write some songs and go, "Oh, let's put these out and see how the hell it goes. Maybe these will be good. Maybe these are gonna be awful." You know what I mean? And it's just that young, natural evolution of a band. So the first record, that was just kind of like we just wrote it. We did this thing. We're gonna write it. We kind of like just was like, let's see what happens and put it out. And then we ended up sitting on that record before it even came out to the public for almost a little over a year. So
Wow.
by the time it came out, it was so old. Like to us and to the rest of the world, like I said before, like with Denver, the rest of the world's like, whoa, this is new. And it's like for us, we're like, God, I hate these songs. They're old. Never want to hear them again. But to pay justice to it and to pay its due, we toured on it and made it out there. And by the time we were done touring, we're like, all right, we're going to already start this progression that was already happening at practice where, sometimes we play the song, sometimes we goof around and play something else. And, our Dave will play a riff or two and go, oh man, that's sweet. Let's just mess around with that. So when we got home from touring from that, we're like, all right, we're going to work on the Pious Abnormality demo that came out in 2016. And I think that was the first progression. As far as like the punk and hardcore elements always being there, I think that just comes natural for who we are. Preston and Dave are really rooted in like crust and grind and D beat kind of, a past. That's what they both grew up on, just punk and that kind of stuff. So I don't think that ever truly leaves. I don't know if that's like a conscious decision that it's there. I think it's just what we do. You know what I mean? Like I think in this record we really didn't do any D beats where we've done that in Bestial Hymns even. D beat is just something I don't know. Like I think we just didn't want to do it on this record. It just kind of for Sulfuric Disintegration, it just kind of happened. It was like, we don't really need to do it. Let's just keep blasting and we'll find other variations of blast beats to throw in there. But I think the natural progression of it was just to always have that black metal, death metal influence in there, and whether it's going to be more crusty or more grindy, or if people pick out little hardcore to punk elements of it, or you just hear straight up old school death metal or even old school black metal. You know what I mean? Like I think that's an underlying foundation is just there because that's how we learned how to play. That's how we learned how to all play our instruments. When you're, like when you're a kid and you pick up a guitar, you want to learn a Kirk Hammett riff.
Yeah.
You want to like I'm gonna play an Iron Maiden song. You know what I mean? It's like I think these things just kind of grow and go with you the whole time, regardless of the way you write. I
Yeah.
think it's just like that always pays homage to that. That's always in there. That little bit of this, like whoever you grew up playing and trying to mimic and who influenced you will always be there. But yeah, I think that's just kind of the natural progression of where we got to where we're at now. I think where we're at now is definitely more proficient as musicians. We've kind of really worked out a lot of the kinks and how we play, how we write together, how we arrange things together, and overall just really found this groove, this settled in spot of like this is what needs to happen, this is how it needs to be, and this is what like the culmination of what we've been trying to work on for a long time is finally have hit where it needs to be, and it's in its stride. I don't want to say it's hit its peak because we're going to keep writing, we're going to keep putting things out, so there is no peak. It's just more like we're now in a stride where yeah, we probably cannot be stopped. We're probably just going to start writing again real soon now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So I kind of wanted to ask. So the last two records have been super short in the understanding of the metal world. Like they've both been about 30 minutes, maybe 31 minutes long. Is that done on purpose just to be fast, furious, and out? So like it, I'm gonna give you all killer, no filler, and not a really bad pun, but is that kind of the reason why they're that length, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not conscious. Like we just write the songs and like, we'll write it and we'll go, man, this song's 7 minutes long, and then we start trimming. We'll trim the fat off of it. We'll go, yeah, this part's not necessary. We don't need to do this. This doesn't need to be here. Oh, maybe we need to add this part in here, but that's going to cut out a minute of the song.
Yeah,
That actually happened on Sophia Disintegration. On a lot of the songs where we're writing, we're like, oh, we need to take out this part because it just doesn't sound right, or it just sounds forced. Things just sound like we're just trying to make it long for the sake of being long. So I think what ends up happening is we shorten it without having to really think about it. It just kind of does it. But like you said, it is maybe that underlying consciousness in us of going like, yeah, let's just no frills, no filler, just give it all we have, break your neck real fast and get on with it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just kind of what we do, even live. We play live, we really don't take breaks in between songs. It's just go, 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 go. And then the set's over. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even nowadays, like people's attention span is so,
yes,
it doesn't exist anymore. Let's be real. I think, people want to see a band, they start playing over 20, 25 minutes. They're done. They're like, I'm going outside. I'm going to grab a beer, or I'm going to talk to my friend at the bar or something instead. You know what I mean? Or, it's just like, you have to kind of be there quick, get it done, get the job done, and be out of the way. And I think that comes with music too, with just having the accessibility of it in your hand. You know what I mean? Like you're like, I'm done listening to this song. I could just fast forward it 20 seconds, 10 more seconds. I'm done with this band. I'm going to go put on a completely different record now. You know what I mean? Whereas like, I don't know how old you are, but like, like when I was a kid, like you got a CD once a week, if you were lucky, if you can afford it, and you listen to that CD till it was, burnt into the ground. You just kind of like destroyed that one album because that's all you had. You can afford the one CD, and that was it. That's all you got. And nowadays it's, I think that art form, that appreciation for, a format is gone, and not gone completely, but I think for the most part, we live in such a fast paced world that I think people just kind of move on quick. So I think it does us a favor to make it concise, to the point, no dragging on if we don't have to drag it on, and just be done with it, so people at least try to hear all the aspects and parts of the music rather than just going, oh, the first riff was cool, and halfway through there was this blast beat that was kind of cool. No, these songs are purposely written with intent that every part fits with each other. So I'd hope that it keeps their attention long enough to be able to appreciate what we wrote with it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm 48, so I'm an old dog, and yeah, trust me, I remember getting my $10 together to go buy that one record that I could buy, like and
Exactly.
I miss going to the store and actually talking to the shop guy, and like, they became my friend, and they would say, oh, hey man, you like you like this grief record? Well, you know what, check out I Hate God, or do something like,
Yeah,
because, yeah,
exactly.
because
Exactly.
and I miss those days. Like, yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. Like these kids today have everything at their fingertips, which is awesome, but kind of
Which is awesome. Yeah.
yeah, which is kind of a disappointment too, because they have such an overflow now of music where you and we had to go find it in print magazines, like through friends, going to see bands. Like, yeah, it was a whole different world. Not the diatribe too much in it, but no, you're absolutely
No, you 100% exactly. And it's like, I think that's why it's like it has to be concise, to the point, no filler, and just get it done, because yeah, you're going to lose people's attention really fast. And you know what I mean? And there are people like yourself, and hell, let's be real, like a lot of people in Europe really love to have length. They really want
yeah.
their time with you to be spent longer and filled with just quality. So it's very different. Like the first time we went to Europe, we're like, oh, our set's 20 minutes. That's 25 minutes maybe. We're like, that's great. In the States, like if we played any longer than that, people wouldn't care. And every show we played the first time we were out there, everyone's like, why'd you play so short? We're like, what do you mean? They're like, you should play 45 to an hour every night. We're like, whoa, hold on. Like, even if we wanted to play that long, I don't think we could. But like, it's like we've come from a place where, yeah, it's just time is a commodity. Everything, every second of our lives is spent, has to be filled with something. You know what I mean? Rather than, I think in a different culture, a lot of them are like, no, this is my night to. I want every second filled with something that is enjoyable to me. I think they're not in a big hurry to get out of there. That's what they've been looking forward to. They want the show and they want to see a band play for as long as they can. They want their
Yeah.
money's worth, you know what I mean? So I think with that said, we're prepared to play longer if need be. But when it comes to the recording, it's like, yeah, I'd rather have it be in and out, done.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So I kind of want to get your feelings on this because I got to talk to a couple other bands that I'm going to mention right now, and I want to see if you kind of have the same feeling. So, does it become tiring that you kind of get clustered with a group of bands like that? Like the Tomb Molds, the Outer Heavens, the Blood Incantations, like that. You guys are like the. I know it's terrible to say, but like the big four of the like revival of old school metal. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I keep watching the four bands keep getting mentioned always in press. And I got to talk to the guys in Outer Heaven, and I got to talk to a couple of guys in Tomb Mold about it. And I just kind of want to see what your opinion is. Like, does it get tiring, or is it just really sweet respect that hey, we're bringing back something that people really love again?
I think that for sure. I think that's cool. It's actually funny the three, the other three bands in that you mentioned are all really good friends of ours. We've toured with Tumult twice. We toured with Outer Heaven a long time ago. Like, geez, I want to say was it 2015? We may have toured with Outer Heaven on the East Coast, and then obviously BI are from here, so they're good friends of ours. So it's like I think it's more like cool. That's great. Hey, I'd rather be lumped in with them than lumped in with something else I don't like. You know what I mean? So I think it's more just like, yeah, if that means it creates a tangibility for people to listen to these bands and go, oh, like you said, like before we had to find out about bands in print, or you had to go buy a CD and open it up and look at the thank you notes and go, oh, they thank this band, I'm going to go check it out. Yep. This is a little bit of the way that I think people nowadays can go, oh, I like Tumult. I haven't heard, Outer Heaven. Let me go check that out. Or I haven't heard Outer Heaven, or I haven't heard of Feather and Bone. I'll go listen to that. Or, God forbid you haven't heard Blood Incantation, but you go find you go listen to it. You know what I mean? I think this creates just a web for people to kind of connect these bands. But no, it never gets frustrating at all. I think when people try to like pigeonhole your band as like a certain sound, like with like the basics of like, oh, this band sounds like Bolt Thrower and sounds like, like whatever. It's like the same wide web of band that can umbrella all of our sounds. It's like, yeah, sure. Like we may take elements of Bolt Thrower. It's never been conscious. It's there, sure, because they were before us, before our time, and they wrote this stuff already. It's like we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with what we do. Like, I think people like go, oh, it's not the most innovative band I've heard. It's like, yeah, we're not trying to be innovative. Like, if we wanted to be innovative, cool, we'll probably go try to rip off Cynic for for all intents and purposes. But like, we're not doing that. Like, this is not meant to be the reinvention of death metal or black metal or anything extreme. This is just what we do, that we like to play what we like to listen to.
Yeah.
It's like the end goal is if we weren't in this band and we put on this record, this is what we would want to listen to.
Cool.
So that's the end all be all goal of what we do as a band.
Nice. And that's funny because I always thought the Bolt Thrower comparison to you guys was way off base. That's kind of funny. Exactly. I mean, there's moments of it, but like there's such a different band than you, and I totally get it. So,
and it's never been intentional. And like anything that people want to compare us to, I don't think any of it. There's never been a single band that people have been like, oh, you sound like this band and this band. It's like, cool, thank you. I'm glad that you compare us to Morbid Angel. That's an honor. But like, it's never been a lot of it. For the most part, I'd say 99% of it has never been intentful. It's not like we sit and when we're writing and go, oh, we need to make this part sound like, an old Bathory riff, or we need to make this part sound like Autopsy, or, it's like, no, we just write what we write. And sometimes, haphazardly it comes out going, oh man, that kind of sounds like, like Dead Congregation, or that kind of sounds like so-and-so, it's like, wow, maybe, is it too close? Maybe we need to recheck that. But for the most part, it's never been like, we got to write a part that sounds like so-and-so. It's just kind of, just kind of happens.
Cool. So I kind of want to talk about a little different kind of avenue of the music that I hear in your music, and I want to see if maybe I'm definitely hearing something, or it might just be you guys putting stuff together. But I feel a really doomy overtone to a lot of the music that you make, and And doomy, what I mean more along the lines of like old Incantation, where they have that slower death metal kind of heaviness as well, or maybe like a band from Finland like Demigod or something like that, where like it's still death metal at its heart, but there's a lot of doom elements. Do you guys realize that that's happening, or is it just kind of the, the three of you getting together and making that kind of slower, heavier death metal, and it gives those doomy overtones?
I think that just comes with the riffs. I think Dave's riffs, just that's how he naturally writes. It just kind of comes out that way. Again, never intentful, never been like set out to be like, we're going to be a incantation worship band, like not to say like Onwards to Golgotha is a perfect record. It's amazing. It's classic,
Right.
something we all love. And actually it's funny, like using the term doom, we always think about when we're like writing, we're like, maybe we should write like a doom part here. We are the worst at doing that. We've never had, it's one of those things where we try to write a really slow part, and it's always seems to be one of the hardest things. That's why I think when people go, oh, why do you guys just blast the whole time? It's like mainly because we have a harder time writing a doom part that we're happy with, like, and I think doom, like we think more like really drawn out, really slow and sluggish kind of parts. We have a hard time with that. It's trying to stay creative with that. Whereas like when we can blast, we can find a lot more creativity in ourselves to do it that way. But it's funny, it's like on the new record, like Noctomania is the first time where we really kind of honed in on like slowing it down a lot. And then I think people can hear that, that song is pretty apparent, kind of sticks out a little bit as the oddball of the entire record, but at the same time still has our elements. But that was like our chance to kind of go, fuck it, who cares? Let's see what happens. If it's slow and it works, it works, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's if there's ever been a cool comparison, I'll definitely take Demigod and Incantation to that, because I think that just comes with the way Dave writes. It has no way of doing that. I think that's just naturally what he does, and I think with the drums, it just kind of all comes together like that. And then I'm getting the vocals, like having the lower gutturals like
Yeah.
that, kind of are reminiscent of Pillared. It's like this is what he did back then. Hell, what he did with Disma too. It's just that's how his voice is, and I can't get rid of my voice from doing that either. It's just kind of how it is. But like I said, like on this record, it just kind of I rose my voice a little bit because I was like, I need a little differentiation. Why not? So
Cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. And to me, doom is not always slow. And like I said, it's just kind of the feeling and the vibe. Because there's bands like Disembowelment that like are crusty, grindy doom.
yeah,
Yeah. So like, and that's what I just meant is it just has that ominous side, which is just respect, like definitely to what you're doing. So
yeah, and
very
I think that has a lot to do with the mood too. Like it's more just like if there's anything we've ever set out to do riff wise and musically wise with the melody and the harmony of the music is to always have a somber,
Mhm.
sad undertone. And I think that comes from like maybe we all love funeral doom. Like we're not a funeral doom band in any regard, nor do we have any real elements of funeral doom, but we all really listen to it. We all love it, and we all have the bands that we love. But it's like I think when it comes to the tone of like the riffs and the way they're built, the structure of them, they're meant to have a somber, sad tone. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Dave's even said, he's like, I'm a sad dude. I want my music to be sad. And so, yeah, with a little bit of throwing a little bit of goo and disgustingness in there, you kind of get who we are.
Cool. And that's an awesome place for me to kind of build on to what I was just going to talk about. Uh, so the artwork for the last two records has been pretty intense. Let's be honest, okay? It's not for the squeamish in any way, shape, or form, right? Um, how does the artwork play into the theme of the band itself? Are you Now, I know the music you're not, but as far as are you trying to put it together as a package? Because the best thing when I was a kid, uh, back in, the 90s, when I used to go to the record store, if I saw some brutal ass band cover, like I would pick it up and buy it and listen to it. And I could always bring it back if I didn't like it, like, and they would let me trade it out. But like the album cover was the gateway for me to always get a cool record. I was like, this album looks so brutal, it's got to be awesome. Like, do you do that intentionally right now to make sure that like it fits the style, the sound of the music, or is it just kind of happening naturally?
With this last one, definitely very naturally. Stuart, aka Rotten Realm, he's done a lot of artwork for us, mainly merch. And actually he did some of the designs on the Bestial Hymns layout. Actually, I forgot about that. But he's just been a good friend. He's from Australia. We kind of hit him up a long time ago to do a design, and from there, just he always makes something that fits what we do. So when we were thinking about the album art for Sulfuric Disintegration, we're like, let's hit up Stuart, see what he has, have him start on it. And we actually got that for the first time ever, got that done before the record. He
Okay.
had we had the artwork before the record was recorded. So I think what we went with that was like, we just wanted to be not necessarily a landscape, not something that you see a lot of landscapes nowadays. And we wanted to get away from that whole idea of like a spooky landscape or whatever, you know what I mean? No knocking that art form, but we didn't want to have that for ourselves. So I think it's just like, when we told him, it's like, just make it chaotic. We want it to be something that's not tangible, nothing in it that makes sense. Like you look at it and go, what is that? Like a weird demon guy thing? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what he is, honestly, you know what I mean? Like I have a good friend who called him a meat flower, and I was like, cool, we'll call him a meat flower for all purpose and sake, you know. But like, yeah, I think it was just like, for this record, it's like, it's chaotic. It's not meant to be, you know, like something that you can make out easily, like kind of like the music, like you said. It's like you listen to it, and like, I think for someone who isn't used to what we listen to in this realm of death metal or even metal in general, would go, oh, this is messy, this is just too much. And I think that's what the album artwork needs to represent as well. You look at it and go, wow, this is a shit show of a mess of colors and designs and shapes. Then you listen to the music and go, yeah, that's pretty much what that is too, you know. And for Bestial Hymns, you know, like I had, you know, some of an idea of what we were doing, and actually that was like a prime example. We had the music written, everything was like, cool, we need artwork, and sent over lyrics to, you know, his name is Chaos Dictator. I think he's from Eastern Europe, far Eastern Europe. And you know, I was like, this is what kind of it's about, and you know, or here's some lyrics, so you can kind of take what you want with it, and gave him the freedom to do what he wanted. And that's what he came up with, and actually came up with two versions. That's why the CD of Bestial Hymns is different than the vinyl cover, because he just had two different ones. And we're like, cool, we'll take both, let's do a variation. So that one happened pretty naturally on the sake of the artist, whereas Sulfuric Disintegration was just kind of like, we trust Stuart, we know what he's doing, he knows what we do, he knows what we like, and it just kind of like it. That was a very natural album cover for sure, and super stoked on it.
Cool. No, awesome. That's good to hear. So it's kind of funny you say that. I'm going to kind of diatribe for a second about it, because I have a really good friend that I work with. His name's Mike, and we are both like diehard extreme metal guys, and we're like the only two guys at work that like listen to this music and can kind of have a bond.
Yeah.
And I kind of turned him on to you, and he turned me on to Tomb Mold, which is really funny. Like we kind of like threw each other like a bone and said, "Hey, check this band out. You check this band out." And the first time he heard you, this is complete smiling and praise right now for me to give to you. He was like, "This is the most beautifully ugly record I've ever heard in my life." And
Hell
like I
yeah.
was like, yeah, and I was like, I totally get what you mean. Like that is the most perfect definition of bestial hymns I've ever heard in my life. Like the most beautiful ugly thing. And you know, that's what this kind of music should be. It should be powerful, expressive, and ugly. And you guys do a really good job at it. So thank you very
Hell
much.
yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So I guess I'm gonna diverge into like a kind of weird place that I kind of want to ask you. So this whole rebirth of old school death metal, um, it's probably been going on 5 or 6 years right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, like in my opinion, um, this is nothing against the style or the theme. Do you think there are? I'm gonna be honest. Are there too many fucking bedroom bands out there like spoiling the stream right now? Because like I've heard, and this is not to be rude. I'm not mentioning any bands or anything, but there's so many shitty bands I hear right now that are like I feel like they've rushed so fast and put something out because they're just trying to stamp their view in the world. This takes time. You can't just rush this kind of music. So I kind of wanted to ask you like, does it bother you that like there's been an avalanche of this kind of style coming now after like 8 or 10 bands have really kind of put their mark and cap on it?
No, definitely not. Like, it doesn't like maybe matter or anything. It's more like, it's hard because I think the people who are around, you know, like 8 years ago doing
Yeah.
this, you know, kind of view a lot of us currently going like, oh, the new bands and you're all ruining it. It's like, hold on. Like, we're just doing what we're doing. Never had an intent to ruin your gatekeeping of what you were doing, But with that said, for the younger bands too, it's like you don't know. If you don't know and don't give them a chance, you never know what could happen with those bands. You know what I mean? Like, not saying it's like just the elitist problem of like gatekeeping always is trying to keep your music style safe and keep it for who you are and keep it, sacred more than anything. But like I said, there's a lot of young bands out there that come out and you go, damn, this is really good shit. You would never know if you didn't dive into that. And I do fully believe in that. But with that said, I think with the world and just how easy it is to put music out now, whether it's like you don't even need a label to do it. You can
Right.
just go record it in your bedroom on, whatever, interface and done. You have a project and it's out. And with some aesthetic and some logos and artwork, you have a release. And with that said, I think it's hard because it's hard to sift through it all because you're like, oh, maybe this band's going to be good. And you listen and go, damn it, this is not good. Or this isn't good. Or, oh, I really actually kind of like this, and like, does it take away from the average listener from wanting to go seek out bands that are of quality and not quantity? I think it gets really hard for some people to go, man, I just heard 20 bands that all do nothing for me. And you
Right.
may have missed that chance to hear one band that's like, that's it. That's the one that really sticks with you. You know what I mean? So I think that makes it a lot harder as the oversaturation for sure. And that's
Yeah.
just because of technology. Like I said, you don't even put anybody can make a tape. Tapes are super easy to make now. They're cheap, they're affordable. A band can literally press 100 tapes and done and get in a mom's Astro van and go on a 2-week tour. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like it's super accessible now. And for us, it's like we've been grinding since 2012 on the road. We're constantly on the road doing things like that as much as we can. It's just sometimes that makes it a little bit harder because you're like, oh, like you're trying to book a tour and you're like, no, this band's going to be here the night before, and then there's another band the night after. Can you guys change your date? It's like, no, we're on a strict schedule.
Right.
So that makes that frustration for like very real. But no, I think as far as bands putting stuff out, no, it's like, again, I'll always like see something and go, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'll listen to it. Maybe that's just the old like punk kid in me going like, I'm gonna listen to whatever I want. So I do give things a chance. I go, man, that didn't do anything. No harm, no foul. At least I know not to, I'm not gonna go out and spend money on it. But at
Yeah.
least I know, at least I gave it a shot and been like, but some things surprise you. You know what I mean? Some things you put on and go, damn, I would have never, never known. And I think that's like trying to think of a band right now. Actually, Ceremonial Bloodbath out of Vancouver. They've been around for a long time. They've been around for a while, and they're an established band. But until recently, I had actually never really known them until they were on. They just put their record out on Sentient Ruin last month, maybe not too long ago. Either way, very recent. And that's a prime example. I put it on one night. I was like, I like this artwork. It's a cool name. I like the logo. I'm gonna check it out, and fell in love with it. And in that moment, I actually went and ordered the vinyl. I was like, I gotta have this because this is great. And
Very
again,
cool.
I think if the jaded person in me would have been like, whatever, another new death metal band comes out of Vancouver, cool. I would have never had the experience of listening to it and going, damn, this is actually really fucking good, and I really enjoy this. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone has different flavors, everyone has different strokes, but like I said, I think not giving things a chance, you can miss out on something great that you never known, and that goes for us too. You know what I mean? Like if people saw our band name or the record or going, oh, I saw this on some blog or some kid I don't like reposted it, I'm not going to give it a chance. How would you never, like people would pass over us too, So I think that's why as like being in a band, I do take the time to be like, oh, I'm going to check this band out. And, like I said, no harm, no foul. I didn't have to invest in it. I didn't spend money on it. I didn't wait for it. Like you said, go to the CD store and pick it up and then go home and go, damn it, I got to go back and return this now. It's like, yeah, I can just get on Bandcamp and go, cool, well, there's, 4 minutes out of my life I'll never get back, but so be it. So be it. But yeah, like I said, I use that band as an example of like currently that happened to me, 2 weeks ago. I was like, damn, I love this. I'm going to order it right now. And I'm sure as hell glad I did.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant. Like you got to wade through a lot of stuff now these days, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I mad respect those kids that are 18, 19 years old, throwing it out there and letting the world see it. Because being a musician myself, like when you get a bad review and you're young, sometimes it's still like the most dire wound that you've ever
Shit,
gotten in your
when you
life.
get a bad review and you're older, it's a stab. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
I think it's like, yeah, you put yourself out there. You're really working hard to like artistically express yourself, and then have somebody just completely rip it to shreds. It's disheartening. I don't, I mean, whether you're 16 and self-conscious or you're my age 36 and you're kind of like self-conscious still, you're
yeah,
like, god damn, this sucks. So I think, yeah, for those kids to do that and have that will to write and play music with each other, I'm like, damn, that's impressive. Because at 19, I definitely was not doing that myself. So it's like cool to see them have the talent that they have to be able to
Yeah.
put stuff out, and like I said, have the means to be able to put their music out. Like I said, like a tape, putting out tape is not hard. Any band can do it. Anybody can do it. You know what I mean? So I think it's there for the pickings. But like I said, yeah, wading through it all is definitely exhausting.
Cool. So um, uh, on that, being able to find good music, there's certain labels right now, one that you're on, Profound Lore, that particularly, if I pick up a record by them, I know it's at least going to be a quality release. I can at least listen to it. It may not be my exact style, but I know it's going to be something quality. Willow Tip's another one for me. Like, there's just some record labels that just put out quality stuff. So I kind of want to ask you, being on one of the more mysterious, notorious labels right now. I mean, Chris is kind of an interesting dude. I'll just be honest with you. I have lots of friends that know him and work with him too. Like my buddy Neil and Krieg is really good friends with him as well too. And I've heard really interesting stories. So I kind of wanted to see like, how did you come to work with them, and what's your work life been with them, and could you be happier on anything at all? Like, I always love to really just know a little bit of the inner workings of why you stay with someone, what they're doing for you, and kind of the how all be all. So if you can kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, I think when we were writing Bestial Hymns, we had the recording, and we're like, well, let's just throw it around and see. Every band has their list of
Yeah.
labels that they want to send it to. I think you can probably hit up any band right now and go, what's your list of labels? Everyone has a list of them, and he would, Profound Lore was on there, and so we just shot an email. And I think it was like the next day I got it. I think I woke up and I saw an email. I was like, no way, he responded. I was like, holy shit, and Profound Lore had put out, Cruciamentum, Dead Congregation, Grave Miasma, so many bands that like, we were listening to at the time going like, I'm still listening to, but like at that moment going, holy shit, these are the bands, like these are the bands I love. Like I want to Piss Grave, you're like, God damn it, he's putting out some of the best death metal there is currently. And so to have him respond like, holy shit, even if he says no, he responded, that's great. And he's like, I love it. He's like, let's do this. Let's work together. And we're like, holy crap. So, so after that happened, it was very interesting to work with him because he's just like, he's definitely business. I really appreciate that about him. It's like we do talk, like sometimes we have conversations about, like hip hop. Actually, me and him both love hip hop. So we'll talk about new releases there. We'll talk about, certain other things in the world. But like for the most part, like when it comes to like our relationship with each other, like I said, I like the fact that it's cut dry. Here's business. This is what needs to be done. This is what we're going to do. And he's always open to hearing what we want to do. He's never been like, this is how it has to be. I really appreciate that. He's like, cool, I like that idea. Let's go for it. And like, I think he's only ever said no to us once about having a gatefold because of the cost. And I was like, fair enough. I understand. I'm not going to argue it. Yeah, you're right. It's expensive. So we're out of here. But, like I said, from the beginning, it's been nothing but great. And doing both records with Profound Lore has been nothing but awesome. Having a good track record of bands and people wanting to listen to that and like kind of following, their label and having that notoriety, like I said, it's like, yeah, no, it's cool. It's like I like being, somewhere where people want to hear it and are seeking out something because it's a niche group. It's a niche market. It's not exactly like, seeing a Relapse label or an Earache label or whatever. You just kind of like these labels at $20 spin, Profound Lore, Dark Descent, these labels that are putting out a lot of bands at most times, I think they build this following of people that, like, yeah, they're going to want to listen to your band. So it's like, that's why I was like, I appreciate working with him. And still to this day, yeah, still been nothing but awesome, nothing but better. Couldn't be happier for sure.
Nice. Yeah, $20 spin and Dark Descent are two kick-ass labels. I do not disagree at all. They got some really quality stuff on
Yeah,
there.
they just have a good, they're all good at curating what they like, I think, and by doing that, that attracts people to them. And I think it's all. I just use those three labels as an example, just because it's like I think they all have their own tastes, their own flavors, and like I said, they curate a roster that is something people want to listen to. So yeah, it's cool to be a part of that.
Oh, I completely understand. So I do a lot of noise and industrial stuff myself as well. And I worked with a label in the UK called Aesthetic Death, which I totally love. Like they're like one of my favorite labels because they have Esoteric on them and a couple other bands that are really cool. And I put a record out in 2007 or 2009 with them, and I've been friends with them all throughout the years. I just did another record, sent it over to him. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it. I love your stuff." And like you get that kind of feeling like, okay, I'm back in the brotherhood again, and I'm back in,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and like, there's value in the world again. So no, I completely know, like, when you can be on a label that is gonna like love you and actually work with you and care for you, that's a really important thing. So
Oh, and absolutely. That's kind of how we felt, is like, rather than, trying to go for a big label that was probably going to get lost in the mix of like everything that they have, it's like, how do you compete against a band that's going to push X amount of numbers of records? You know what I mean? Like we're small potatoes on a big label, it's like, I'd rather go somewhere that's a little more intimate, somewhere that someone that is going to help push your band and believes in it. You know what I mean? It's like, they're not just looking for a payday, they're looking to like actually push your band out there. And that's what I really appreciated about Profile More, was the fact that he believed in us enough to be like, cool, let's put this record out, and now I'm gonna put the legwork behind it, get some PR in there, and we're gonna see how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, no promises, which I also don't, I really do enjoy.
yeah,
I don't want to be given false hope for something, and then it flops and be like, what happened, man? You told us we were gonna be Grammy winners on tour with Metallica next week, and that didn't happen. I'd rather have him go, yeah, we'll see what happens. And this is how it's going to go. And I've always appreciated that about him too. So the stark honesty.
cool. So I just got a couple more for you, and then I'll let you have your Saturday back. Absolutely,
No, you're good, man.
absolutely,
You're all good.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So before I ask you the last question, I kind of really want to know, like, what's your desert island? Like, what music? Like, it doesn't have to be a metal band. It doesn't have to be a metal song. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I listen to everything from electronic music all the way to death metal, and I get it. We're all that way. Like, like if we didn't listen to different music, I don't think we'd play this kind of music. Like it, like
Yeah. Oh,
you need
exactly.
you need to clean the palate every once in a while.
Oh, you have to.
But
You have to.
yeah. So like, give me a couple like things that you're listening to right now that are really just like they're your it. They're your holy grail of music right now.
Oh, right now. Oh, damn. I would say for Desert Island, though, man, it'd be like just some classic things like Morbid Angel would have to go with me for sure. Slayer always since I
Yeah.
was a kid. Early Metallica forever. Man, I'm trying to think, like, if we want to get off the path of like metal, The
Yeah,
Cure for
please.
the Cure will always go with me wherever I go. Yeah, I was actually listening at work today. I was like, that's just a good day for The Cure. Why not? Um, geez, I'm trying to think, like Wu Tang forever. That's just something that's I'll always listen to Wu Tang for however old I get. I'm gonna be an old man one day listening to that. As currently, man, there's actually a really cool. I'm trying to think where they're from, but it's more of like a dark cold wave band called Nurnberg, and
Okay.
they're amazing. I just listen to it and I go, this puts me in a good mood. Has a good
Nice.
vibe to it. It's just kind of there's like such a big like Eastern European like cold dark wave revival happening right now with a lot of bands. And so, yeah, so just kind of like adding that in there for currently. It's like, yeah, sometimes I got to clean the palette, get away from anything that's metal related and put something else on. I'm like, yeah, there we go. That kind of itched, scratched the itch I didn't know I had this year for something that was a little more like that. And trying to think what else. Oh, actually, it's funny because I'm kind of going off the little like top 10 list I built for myself for the year of like, what did I like? What's like, what are the oddballs? I always have like, there's always death metal on there and other metal bands and friends bands, of course,
Yeah.
on those lists. But I'm like, what's the oddballs on there? And that's actually one of them. And trying to think this year too, like recently, there's a rapper named Freddie Gibbs. He put out an album called Alfredo, and that was actually same thing. It's been on like constant rotation for me when I'm driving. I'm like, yep, putting this on. Just got good beats, good like his rhymes are great, his flow is great. I'm like, yeah. So that's as of recent. Some things to
Nice.
drop on that.
Yeah.
As far as metal goes, like death metal in particular, that Perdition Temple record is phenomenal. Perfect record. I was like, actually, that was from Bruni. We were talking about something one morning. He goes, "You listen to that Perdition Temple record yet?" And I go, "No, actually, I didn't. I didn't even know it came out. I think it came out in March." And I put it on and went, "Yes, this is fucking like this is fucking phenomenal. This is what I wanted to hear this year." So that's a more in our vein of
Yeah.
bands. That's something that's like been on constant rotation. That Ceremonial Bloodbath record, Blood Soaked Necrovoid out of Costa Rica just put out a new record. That shit's great. Geez, trying to think what else. So much stuff. So much stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, if you like raw black metal, a band called Gruesome Altar. I know nothing about them. It's super mysterious. It's a demo just came out like 4 or 5 days ago, and yeah, the shit's so great. It's just like sounds like a more raw Beharit, and it's so sick.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah, check them out. Check them out. And if
I
you haven't
will.
heard, and then probably my other favorite record of the year is Black Curse. They're from Denver. It's members of Primitive Man, Chemist, Spectral Voice, and it is one of the gnarliest records I've heard in a long time. It is so good. So Black Curse, definitely check it out.
I will. I will. When you said The Cure, you kind of made my heart 3 sizes real big.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, because like I had an epiphany when I realized that I could make non-metal music when I heard the Disintegration record. Like I literally just was like, okay, you know what? You can be badass and amazing and not be a metal band. And like Disintegration
Exactly.
kind of did that for me. And I was like, damn, all right.
Exactly.
I see the world for a whole new thing, and that's awesome. So
Yeah, the way I see it, it's like sadness, depression, desperation can come in so many different forms sonically, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, like when people like your friends who don't listen to metal hear it and go, why does he sound so angry and upset? It's like, well, if you listen to Cure, you go, man, why does he sound so upset?
right.
So it's like I think having a different approach to that is super important. It's you can recognize that, you can realize that just because it doesn't sound sonically the same doesn't mean it isn't the same, and that's why I think that they've always clicked with me.
Cool. Again, totally appreciate the time with you. Like this has been pretty much fun as hell. I'm glad we got to do
Awesome,
this.
man.
So here's the last question I ask every single band, and I always get really interesting responses, retorts. I don't know. Like I'm just gonna say what it is. So if you could have anyone take one of your songs and make it their own, who would you want to do that and why?
Iron Maiden, because Steve Harris is a genius and he is a phenomenal bass player, and I would love to just see what he would do with it.
See, that was succinct. I don't think I've had anybody ever do it that quickly, so that's cool. No, very cool. So what I normally do now is at the end here, kind of give you the soapbox. You can kind of talk about your band, talk about whatever you want, whatever's going on, whatever's about to happen. Take a couple minutes and kind of talk to the jokingly, as I say again, the hundreds, maybe 1,000 people that are going to watch this.
We just put out a new record yesterday. Today is the 14th. It came out Friday the 13th. So for your Disintegration, 6 new tracks. Vinyl's a little delayed, but it will be out soon because the world we live in right now. We are going to commence writing and whatever is going to happen. So be prepared for more music. We'll be on the road as soon as we can, as soon as everything is cleared up and then hopefully, quote unquote, a little better in this world. So we'll be back on the road as much as we can, soon as we can. Damn, I think that's pretty much it. Check out Profound Lore. Thanks to them. Check out all the Denver bands from Demand, Spectral Voice, Black Curse, Blood Incantation, of course, Chemist, of course, Zygrot's a newer band coming up. Man, there's too many in the list. Black Curse, please listen to that. Dang, I think that's pretty much all I got.
Awesome. So when you come to Phoenix, make sure you let me know because I will definitely be there. We'll hang out. We'll kind of bullshit about about a whole lot of other music other than this kind of stuff.
Hell
too.
Yeah, man. I love it. Oh, and lastly, check out that new Wayfarer record. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that's what I got, man. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you.
No, not a problem at all. I'll definitely put links to the Bandcamp, to your, to your social media stuff, and to all the information for people to be able to check it out. Again, Clint from the Doorway too, man. Alvino, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. Take care.